This jungle cactus is known as Rhipsalis salicornioides, and salicornioides is actually resembling glasswort. And if you're not familiar with glasswort, glasswort is actually a marshy, salt-tolerant plant that I think typically grows in North America, but this particular plant is native to southeast Brazil and does actually resemble glasswort. So I think the species name is quite appropriate with this. Now this is an epiphytic jungle cactus. It is growing in southeast Brazil underneath the forest canopy. And I actually bought this from Richard, the cacti guy. And he was growing this, I think, in a very different condition than I'm growing it in, but I have this near a northeast facing window. I have to say that I neglected it for a little bit of time. I've had this probably now for about 3.5 years. And in some cases I had forgotten to water it. So I am watering it now. But what I thought was interesting is some of the new growth that's coming in here. Look at this, it's actually quite like fuzzy. And I hadn't seen that on this particular plant before, but it kind of looks like a little bit more like a Rhipsalis pilocarpa if you actually are familiar with that particular plant. And if you're not, you could look it up also online. But it has this little bit more plumose kind of foliage on this particular stem. But you could see that this is in a relatively kind of rocky mixture. It has a little bit more lava stones, and it doesn't want to be in any kind of intense light. So don't have it near a southern or western exposure, maybe a little bit more of an eastern exposure, like I have it, in a little bit more of a northeast exposure. As far as fertilizing goes, that this plant is not a heavy feeder, and you could probably get away with maybe a 2-4-7 or a 3-4-7 during the spring, summer, and fall, and then you could withhold it in the winter months as well. I should say in the winter months, this doesn't need as much a tremendous amount of water, then it goes kind of a little bit more into its dormant state. I would say give it a little bit more water than you would your regular cacti, but as far as your jungle cacti go, you could withhold the water a little bit more than typically in the growing season. Otherwise, this has been a very easy plant to grow. I am hanging it, and I've kept it in its own nursery basket, and sometimes when I hang plants, I tend to forget about them a little bit more, so this is looking a little sadder probably than it typically does, but I would say that it's a relatively easy plant to grow indoors, especially if you don't have a tremendous amount of light.